Hello crafty people and welcome to my channel. This is another episode of Saturday Sketch series, and this particular one we are going to be using the BYSHC, which is Build Your Stash Holiday Card Makers Sketch Challenge 63. The first one we're just doing a general card. The second one we're doing more of a holiday card. The first one I will be sticking true to the sketch, and the second one I have upgraded quite a bit as far as technique and things like that. But both are still super easy, following the sketch, all that good jazz. Just a little housekeeping, I will list everything I used in the description box and over on my blog at egidesigns.com. I do have affiliate links, and I will also put on the blog a picture of the sketch and a link over to where you can also get that on the interwebs. Alright, so let's get going. So this is the sketch. The back mat is the whole card base, so it's 5.5 by 4 1/4. Then we have a strip here which is 2 by 4 1/4, and then we have two little tiny strips that are 5.5 by 1/4. So let's get going. The first card we're going to be using products from hot off the press, and for the paper I used the Botanical Library 12 by 12 patterned cardstock. And this is so gorgeous, like all these florals and everything. I used one of the tag cut-aparts for that 2-inch strip. So I'll show you that in just a minute. Then I have the solids pack that matches with that. And I also used the 6x6 Botanical Library. This has like little teeny cut-aparts in here, and I want to use that on the inside of the card. And then I also used one of the background papers here. And then for a little embellishment on the front, I used this butterfly from the Butterflies and Hearts from hot off the press, and cut that out of the lavender and also out of some ivory cardstock. So let's get going on putting that together. A little card packet here so you don't have to watch me cut all the things and all that stuff. Alright, so here's our inside pieces. So the card base is regular A2 card base, so it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then here's that butterfly I was telling you about. And I cut out an ivory one and put it behind. And I did do a little inking on the edge just so it didn't look so stark. And I did that with a little bit of the hydrangea. Actually, no, I'm mistaken. I apologize. Wrong pile. The wisteria from Altenew. And then on each piece I did a little bit of ink blending around the edges with Morning Frost. And then this Evening Gray I used to add a little bit darker on the edges of this butterfly. So it's a little grungier. So here's that cut apart I was telling you. This was in the shape of a tag, and I just cut it into the 2 inches by 4 1/4. And we have 2 of the purple strips from the solids pack that matches the butterfly. And look at this gorgeous patterned paper. It is so beautiful. So we need to start getting these pieces together. Since this, I'm trying to think, what should we do first? Alright, we'll put the background on first, and I'm just getting out my Score Buddy to make sure that I can line that up. So this is a great trick if you have an edge-to-edge front panel. I am not good at lining up edge to edge, which is probably why you rarely see any of my cards have that. I know my limitations, but I'm following the sketch here, and So anyway, the score buddy trick definitely helps me when I need to do the edge to edge. Let me know down in the comments, do you guys use something to line up when you're doing edge to edge, like the, you know, your stamp positioner or trimmer or any of the above? Alright, so I'm just going to put this into the corner here. The fold is at the top. And then I'm just sliding this in, making sure everything is lined up properly. And looks like we're good to go. So, yay! Let me get my block out for that. I'll get that set up. And then we need to glue on our little strips. So according to the sketch, they're up a little bit. They're not quite right at the bottom. And you can use, if you have a grid mat, you can kind of look across and see, did I get that lined up pretty well? Okay, so we have that on. So this is going to be going top to bottom. So what we need to do, because it's going, this is kind of a thinner paper and it's going over the strips there. We don't want to have like a lumpy bumpy. So I'm going to add some cardstock behind. So what I'll do is I'll flip it over. And then let me just grab some scissors. So I'm just trying to kind of eyeball how much, so that'll be good down there. And then okay, so let me get that glued on the back. Alright, and for this I'm going to bring this back in again just to make sure. And looking at the sketch, it's close to the left-hand side. Alright, so we have that, and then I want to add this butterfly. I'm trying to think of a good place to put it. I kind of like it over here a little bit. Alright, so get these glued on, and then I have some pearls that we can use. Alright, so these are the Ultra Pearl Dots in Ivory. I thought we could add these for the body. Alright, that looks so pretty. We can fluff up our butterfly. I think we're doing pretty well for our sketch. And then we can do the inside. So I have a few pieces here. And this is just another piece of that, that lavender paper from the solids. Okay, and then I'd wanted to do something to this effect. So we'll get this glued down. Okay, and then I'll just add this in with temporary adhesive, and I will use permanent adhesive once I write it out, because it's easier to take apart and redo this than take apart your whole card. So, all right, so here is our card sketch. We stuck exactly to it. We had this strip from the cut aparts, which was here. We had the background piece, which was the whole front. And then we had the two strips, and we did the lavender pieces. And then we cut out a butterfly die cut with 2 layers, and then added some ivory pearls to that. Just to add a little decoration and some nice shimmer on the front. And then on the inside, we have the panel in here is 3 3/4 by 5. We have a 3 3/4 by 1/2 inch strip, and then we have this little cut apart, and this is 1 7/8 by 2 3/4. Again, everything will be in the description box on my blog, so you don't have to write down any of that. But here is our first card. I'll give you a close-up. How sweet and pretty is that? I just love these colors together. All right, so let me get all this cleaned up and we will move on to the second project. All right, on to card number 2, and here is our card number 1. I love the way. Anyway, on to number 2. And if you are enjoying the video so far and you want to support my channel, I would love it if you could hit that like button and even consider subscribing to the channel, as it greatly helps me out. Alright, let's get started. So for the next one, I really wanted to step it up, do something really cool, kind of unusual for Christmas. And here are all the pieces, and I will show you what I did. For this card, I pretty much used almost all Concord at 9th products. I have a white card base, again, the 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. I have pieces for the inside. Okay, so pieces for the outside. We have lots of cool things going on here. Look at this. If you had to guess, what would you think this was? Right? Pattern paper, I don't know, something cool. That's a stencil. A stencil. I love how it turned out. This is the Christina Werner with Concord at 9th holiday icons, and this is what it looks like on the back, so you can get an idea. It is a 6-piece stencil. There are 5 pieces that color in the images, and then there is one that is like a just like the outline, so if you wanted to only use one layer you could do that. We have for the sentiment this love. This is also a Christina Werner. This is Peace, Love, Joy, Frames, Dies. And that's what that looks like. And then we have the strip, and I embossed that with this Cat Scrappiness Stitch Swirling Snow background die, just to add some texture to that. And then the back layer and the postage layer, this is from the Spellbinders Postage Edge Rectangles. So here is, there's a lot of pieces of this piece. This is a huge stencil. I mean, ridiculous. You can actually make 2 cards out of it, but this is pretty much how the whole thing is. So you could, if you cut it in half here, you could make 2. So I love that. For this I use the colors of the darker pink is the Sweet Pea, the lighter pink is Ballet Slipper, the background is Midnight, the lighter green is Eucalyptus, and the darker green is Juniper. Alright, let's see. So I had done all of the stenciling, and then I wanted to have the edging of the stripes match the postage. So I had stenciled, I put this is Concord at 9th glitter, but it has like pinks and greens and stuff in it, the glitter paper, so it kind of ties that all together. I put a piece of double-sided adhesive behind the glitter paper, and then I cut the strips. I did not want to reactivate the ink on here with using a liquid glue, so that is why I used the double-sided adhesive. But then I took the die and cut the whole thing out, and then so it cut the edges of the strips too. This is the square part of, in this die set, there's like the postage, and then there's the bigger rectangles, and they all kind of layer together. So I cut the back out of the bigger one, this one with the postage, and then this one, so this is the strip, and I didn't want to cover up a lot of this image, so I cut this a little bit smaller. This particular strip is 1 inch instead of 2, and it's also 3 3/4 long, because the postage is a little bit smaller. It's 5 by 3 3/4. So what I did is I took the postage rectangle and I used it to cut the edges of this, so then that would line up with that. And then, so we have that, we have that, we have that. Oh, and I did want to say, for the stenciling, like the stenciling came out amazing, and I use these new brushes from Waffle Flower. These are called background blenders, and I'll show you what they look like. Look how nice and fuzzy they are. So they really do an amazing job on backgrounds, because you don't get that sometimes with when you use a blending brush, you get like that really harsh like blop of ink, or you get kind of like that, I don't know, like an edge on there, and it's hard to smooth out. Those background blenders, amazing. Like, would you have thought this was stenciling? No, it's perfect. Like, no harsh lines. I'm absolutely amazed at them, so highly, highly recommend. Alright, let's get this put together. So this is kind of how I want this to go. And then I have some Pink Fresh. These are the Dewdrops Iridescent that we can kind of put, and they bounce, the colors bounce off of whatever's on here, so that'll be a great addition for that. And I did put on the back of here some Altenew foam tape. to pop this up a bit, and because the glitter paper sticks up a bit, I wanted this to be flat over that. So I made a little bridge over the strip waters there. Alright, let's get this together. Same thing as we did on the other one. I'm gonna grab my little score buddy here to help me out with this. Alright, get this one on. And this is the Sweet Pea cardstock, so it matches perfectly with the ink. Alright, well that's setting up. We can get the inside going. And I cut a mat of the ballet slipper. And then we just have a mat of the white. And I cut a strip out of the stenciled part. And I wanted to put this on the bottom. Then I'm just going to put this on with tape runner. And then this with the temporary adhesive. Alright, so then to finish up the front, just going to take off the backing of this and add a little glue so we have some wiggle time. And then the trick with this is that to line it up with where it was cut. So I'm just trying to match up the postage edges there on the top and the bottom. Okay. Now we can put the sentiment on. And this one I cut out of the eucalyptus is the background and the darker is the rainforest. So that would also match. I don't have the juniper cardstock, but the rainforest was a really good match for that. And I did put on there double-sided adhesive so that I could stick this on here very easily without having a lot of glue, oopsies. And I used the, it cuts out a frame and then it cuts out the inside, so I used the inside frame to help line up the outside frame and the words. So it was a good little guide to help get all the things lined up correctly. So here we have it completed. Hi, kitty. Cookie is saying hello. All right, let's see. I think these will be perfect. Let's get these attached. Okay, there you go. And those look kind of cloudy right now, but once the glue dries, they will be perfectly clear and be very iridescent and beautiful. So look at that glitter paper, and now you can see the detail. That background dye, all it does is press an image in. It doesn't actually cut, so it just adds a fun little detail to that. So let's check out our sketch. Pretty much still the same. The main difference is that we made this 1 inch smaller and a little shorter. And let's see, we did a shaped panel on top of the colored background panel. We have the sentiment here. We added some gems on there. And then on the inside we have our stenciling piece, which looks awesome because it carries that from the outside to the inside of the card. So I think we did pretty well today. 2 very different cards, but they both look awesome. This is a great sketch. I really like this one. There's a lot of possibilities. This would be great with birthday, thinking of you, if you had like a nice floral thing going on. But yeah, so that is that. I'm going to show you one more time, close up. And it was very easy. And the thing I really like about this one is cutting the edges. So the edges here with the glitter paper and the edges here with the sweet pea paper. Everything matches and it looks very streamlined. And I think that looks pretty cool. And then here's our first card. Very vintagey. You could use this for a lot of occasions too, even like sympathy or thinking of you or just saying hello, a friendship card. Alright, well those is our projects for today. If you want to stick around, I will put on the top my Saturday sketch series playlist and also my card making playlist if you want to check out any of that for more inspiration. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I really appreciate it. And until next time, like, subscribe, and all that jazz, and have an amazing day. Bye-bye.